Hey there, creepy peeps and not yet creepy peeps. Hi, my name is Nightmare Maven, and I am doing this review for Grave Reviews. Dewey messaged me and asked if I had ever seen In the Mouth of Madness, which I hadn't, which you will soon find out. Like, I completely regret not having seen this sooner. But anyways, then he asked that I review it for Grave Review, so I was like, why the hell not? Really quick before we get into this, if there's anybody new watching, basically how I do my movie reviews, super simple. I'll just summarize the movie and then talk about what I liked and what I didn't like, and then give it my rating at the end and tell you if it was worth watching or not. So without further ado, let's get into this. So, directed by John Carpenter and starring Sam Neill, In the Mouth of Madness follows freelance insurance investigator John Trent, who is hired by book publisher Jackson Harglow to locate famous horror writer Sutter Kane. Kane is famous for his horror stories that have been known to affect people psychologically, and after going away to write his next story, he has gone missing. The mass hysteria at Kane's disappearance leads Trent to believe it's a publicity stunt constructed by the publisher. So John travels to New Hampshire with Kane's editor Linda Stiles, seeking the supposedly fictional Hobbs End from one of Kane's books. The pair ends up finding Hobbs End and Kane, who has turned fiction into reality and unleashed a powerful evil that infects anyone who reads his new book. Alright, so fun fact about this movie, it contains so many references to the work of H.P. Lovecraft. In fact, a lot of the quotes within the movie that are supposed to be from Kane's work within the movie, stay with me you guys, are actually adapted quotes from Lovecraft's actual work, you know, in real life. So for example, towards the end of the film, when Stiles is reading from Kane's manuscript while Trent gazes into the abyss, that is largely taken from Lovecraft's short story, The Rats in the Walls. All right, now let's get into what I liked about In the Mouth of Madness. What I liked, I loved the idea for this movie, like blending fiction and reality in the form of novels. I am an avid reader. I love to read. I understand completely the sensation of like being lost in a story and letting it consume you, and you know, having it stay with you long after you finished reading the book, to the point where, you know, you're like maybe a little obsessed with it, or you read the book over and over and over again just to go back to that world. And I feel like Carpenter was really playing on that in the movie on some level. This movie works on so many different levels, and this is just one of them. And obviously Carpenter hyperbolizes this and just like kind of, you know, takes it to that next level. It's like, what if it's like literally consuming people? What if it's literally like taking over people, because they are so obsessed with the worlds that this fictional author has created. So on that sense, it's kind of relatable. So it's like, in a sense, you're like, yeah, I can understand this. I've acted like this. I've seen people act like this. It also works on the level of, you know, in real life, if you have a favorite author, have them on this sort of pedestal, you know, because you know, if you have a favorite author and you love everything that they write, it's like, you know, you wait, you wait, you know, impatiently for their next work, and it works on that level as well. Kind of like fans of Stephen King, who are, you know, always, you know, chomping at the bit for his next story and love everything that he does. And of course, there are some references to Stephen King throughout the movie as well. They even actually mention Stephen King, kind of jokingly saying that Sutter Kane is even bigger than Stephen King within the movie, which I thought was funny. I love a movie where you can watch it multiple times and see it from so many different angles. You know, so on one hand, you have Trent, our main character, who, you know, you can view it as him going crazy. I mean, they set it up very well in the beginning of the movie. It's mentioned that Kane's books can have an effect psychologically on some of the readers, like memory loss, paranoia, things like that. So they set that up really well, and when Trent starts to go into his investigation on what happened to Kane, he reads all of his books. Like, he goes on like a binging spree reading all of his books. You know, so with those two elements, you can say like, okay, well maybe Trent is one of those people that, you know, is affected negatively by the books and he's going crazy. And obviously it also works on the level of like, because the movie is titled In the Mouth of Madness and the book that is supposedly coming out is titled In the Mouth of Madness, you can view it in the way that the movie kind of sets up for you that Trent is actually a character in the book In the Mouth of Madness, and this is the story. Like, what we're watching is the plot of the book, or the movie, I guess you could say, because at the end of the movie adaptation of the book within the movie comes out. Wow. The movie works on both of those ways, which is, it's super fun. So it makes me want to go watch the movie again and again and again, and just, you know, pick out different little things each time. Speaking of Trent, Sam Neill, who plays Trent, is awesome. He played the part so well, sold it so well, and the character was just really well developed and set up. And when we're introduced to him, you know, he's set up as this very logical character. His whole job is finding insurance fraud, basically. He's, you know, weeding out the con artists. I feel like that sets up his character beautifully, because he is this extremely logical and practical guy, and he's a bit of a pessimist as well, you know, due to his job. Like, his job is finding liars. So it's like, you know, anything that happens, he immediately jumps to like, well, this is a setup. Like, especially when they find Hobbs End and it starts to seem like there's stuff from Kane's books that are real, that's based on reality. Trent's quick to jump in with like, this is all a setup. You guys are putting me on so that I'll think this is real and you can get away with it. And so it works beautifully, you know, makes his spiral into madness all the more compelling and tragic in a way, you know, because it's like he fights so hard to hold on to reality in this movie, and then, you know, when he eventually does fail, it's a bit tragic. There's some tragedy in this movie. It's I like that. That makes me sound sadistic. And the last thing I really have to talk about with this movie is the practical effects. I couldn't help but notice in the in the opening credits, K&B did the practical effects for this movie. Awesome. It wasn't gonna be bad anyway. Obviously, this is a very Lovecraftian type of movie, so there's so many like slimy, tentacly monsters, which is just, you know, when I hear Lovecraft, that's immediately what my mind goes to. So I liked that everything was just kind of like wild, and everything was slimy and gross and distorted and huge and ridiculous kind of, but also terrifying if you thought about, you know, how would I react if I actually saw this in real life? And, you know, when I hear the name Lovecraft, that's the kind of imagery that comes into my mind. So I like that it was brought to the screen for this movie. Madness, worth it. So, was In the Mouth of Madness worth it? Well, you'll notice, even though I said at the beginning of the video I usually talk about my likes and dislikes, I didn't dislike anything about this movie. So yes, I would say that it's totally worth it. I cannot believe it's taken me this long to see this movie. I feel really bad about that. I think it goes without saying, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. I loved it. On IMDb, it has a 7.2 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 51% critic score. Come on, critics. 73% audience score, and then on Letterboxd it has a 3.6 out of 5. All right, so that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about In the Mouth of Madness. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Dewey from Grave Reviews, for asking me to watch this and asking me to review it. I had a great time watching the movie. Yeah, I loved it. If you're new here, subscribe, become a creepy peep today. I post videos Monday through Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay strange. Bye.